You book the perfect cruise. You pick the perfect cabin. You're all set. You make your final payment. You're counting down the days till that perfect cruise, only to have the cruise lines make a change that honestly, it pissed me off. So I want to share my story with you about Princess Cruise Lines and how they tried to do me dirty. Chris here with High Seas Cruising, and welcome to today's video. All right, today I just want to share a story with you. A story about what Princess Cruise Lines did and how it resolved it. And yeah, how they all got into this and the beginning of this, it really did. I mean, it irritated me to no end. Not sure what Princess was thinking, what they were trying to do. I have their explanation, but it did end on a happy note. But that's the end of the story. Let me start at the beginning. So a little background. We are scheduled to sail on the Discovery Princess in May of 2023. It is an Alaska cruise, and this is an important cruise for us because one, it's Tiffany's birthday, and two, this is going to be our first Alaskan cruise, so it is a bucket cruise list item. Now, when I booked this cruise, I looked through all of the different cabins, selected the cabin that we wanted, and I found what I thought was the perfect balcony cabin here on deck 8. It had an extended, a longer, deeper balcony because it was right up near the bow. So as the ship's bow came up, it was right here on the side. So it had a much deeper balcony. And I looked at it, and if you ever go on Princess's website and click on their cabins, it even tells you what size they are. So it was a deluxe balcony cabin, 303 square foot room with the balcony. And it was a much bigger balcony, but I thought, you know what, that's perfect for Alaska. Gives us a place to be outside, see the scenery. I can still set up all of my tripods and some great shots of, all of the scenic stuff that we're going to pass by. Perfect set, loved it. Booked the cruise, paid for the cruise, and I finished paying for it. I actually paid it off months ago. So we're really down to just waiting until we could go on this cruise. Or so we thought. So I happened to get an email from Princess Cruise Lines on Friday. And according to this email, due to operational guidelines and operational changes, my cabin had to be changed, and they've decided to upgrade my cabin. And they used the words upgraded my cabin. Well, so I got curious. I'm interested. And I already picked a really great room. I'd already picked pretty much the biggest balcony cabin I could find on the ship. And after going back and looking at the plans, there was only 8 of this size room on the entire ship. And it's just because of the way the ship was shaped. So I'm not sure how they were going to find me a better room, but I said, let me go take a look. Hop on Prince's website, pull up the deck plans, look at the new room they gave me, and that's immediately where I start getting a little unhappy with Princess Cruise Lines. So they took me out of my 303 square foot balcony and upgraded me to a balcony room at 233 square feet. So they took 70 square feet away for operational requirements. And now while I was on the website, I also happened to click over to the billing side. Now keep in mind, I had already paid this cruise off months ago. Now they actually charged me more money. It wasn't a lot of money. It was only $10. But still, I had paid my cruise off months ago. I printed off the original paperwork when I paid it off with a zero balance. So I pulled that out to confirm that I was correct, and I was. So at this point, I've been moved into a smaller room that they called an upgrade, and they had charged me more money. So naturally, I'm calling Princess Cruise Lines. Now, just calling Princess Cruise Lines was a challenge all in itself. I got a very nice young lady that I'm assuming was in a call center somewhere overseas, because every time something needed to be moved, adjusted, changed, or I had a question, she said, oh, I have to reach out to so-and-so, or I have to reach out to this team, or I have to reach out to my supervisor. She didn't really seem to have the authority or the ability to make any changes or really answer any of my questions. So that part was a little bit frustrating. But I explained to her the situation. I told her about the room, that this isn't an upgrade. I paid for this room. You moved me to this smaller room, and you've charged me more money. She says, okay, let me reach out to my team, and we'll see what we can do for you. Now, let's fast forward 2 hours, because at this point, I have been on the phone for 2 hours with her. She comes back on the line and she says, okay, what we were able to do was get the $10 taken off. You don't have to pay that $10. I'm like, okay, what about the room? She says, well, what do you mean? You have moved me from a 303 square foot room that I picked and I wanted, and you've moved me down to a smaller room. What are we doing about that? I want to be in the room I was in. Now, it turns out the reason that they moved my room was because they have decided to take these particular cabins and turn them into quarantine cabins in case somebody gets COVID on board the ship. So that's the reason we were moved out. That was their operational requirement. Now, why they took the specific cabins on deck 8, I'm not real sure. They were not at the very front of the ship because there still are some big suites past those cabins. So there's still going to be people in those rooms. But instead, they apparently decided they were going to take these unique cabins that there's only 8 of on the ship, and those were going to be the quarantine cabins. So I had to get moved out of mine. But again, I told her, look, 303 square feet down to 233 square feet. That is a 70 square foot difference that you now try to charge me more money for. I know you said you're taking the $10 off, but come on. I want a room the same size. I don't want a smaller room especially while you guys are trying to charge me more money. So again, I've got to reach out to my team. So here we go. Now we're on hold again. After about another hour, so now we've been on the phone for 3 hours, she comes back and goes, well, can you go through the deck plans and can you pick a room that you would be happy with? So I start going through all the deck plans, and this is where I learned that there were only 8 of these particular size cabins on the entire ship because there was no other balcony cabin that was of the same size. The only size that was similar was a mini suite cabin in square foot wise. So I told her that. I said, look, there's nothing but a mini suite that's the same size. Everything else is a good 70 feet smaller. Puts me on hold again. Comes back and tells me, well, they can't move you into a mini suite. That's just not something they're able to do. But what we can do is we can give you $50 of onboard credit each. So 50 for me, 50 for Tiffany, if you're willing to stay in the smaller room. Not the best deal I've ever heard, not the best deal we've ever been offered, but I'm not going to cancel my cruise, obviously. So I said, all right, look, if that's all we can do, then that's fine. I can accept that. I said, but we're over there getting that done. Just do me a favor and ask, what would it cost to move over to a mini suite? Maybe if the price difference isn't that much, I'd be willing to pay a little bit more because, like I said, this is a bucket list cruise. This is Tiffany's birthday cruise. I don't really want to go into a smaller room. Even if it meant paying a little bit more, I'd rather go into a room of equal size or bigger. She goes over, she starts looking, and what do you know? We've been on the phone now for about 3.5 hours, and the call drops. So at this point now, I'm getting extremely frustrated because after sitting there for 3.5 hours, and by the way, they play the same song over and over and over again while you're on hold. So that's a whole lot of fun. But after 3.5 hours of being on the phone, turns out we have no resolution and the call drops. I wait a little while to see if maybe she'll call me back. She'll be like, oh, the call dropped. Let me get back in contact with this particular passenger so I can get this resolved. Nope, nothing. So I don't know about you guys, but at this particular point, I am not having a really good experience with Princess Cruise Lines, and we have not sailed on Princess yet, and they've already kind of put a bad taste in my mouth. However, the happy ending is coming because I called Princess back. And this time, I did not get a young lady in a call center overseas. I got someone here in the United States. She pulled up the account. She looked in the notes. She immediately says, okay, I see on here where they said they were going to take that $10 off. She goes, wow, they didn't even do that. She goes, and I see where they were going to give you $50 of onboard credit each. I do see that in the notes. I just see where they didn't actually remove the $10. She goes, let me see if I can get that taken care of. I said, well, hold on. Before you do that, I had asked the young lady if it would be possible to move into a mini suite and what would be the price difference if I wanted to do that. She goes, okay, let me check on that for you. So now she puts me on hold. And of course, at this point, after what I've been through, I'm thinking, here we go, another 3 hours. She comes back on the line in about 10 minutes. She goes, I'm trying to get you over to customer service right now. There's a hold over there. It's going to be about 20 minutes. do you mind holding? I'm like, no, that's fine. I need to get this resolved. She says, okay, thank you. Now I'm sitting on the phone thinking I've got a 20-minute wait before I'm even going to begin this process over again. And I'm telling you, it was no more than about 5 minutes or so. She hops back on the phone. She goes, look, she goes, I went ahead to see what I could do for you, and this is what I was able to do. I can move you over into a mini suite right now. You'll go from deck 8, you'll go over to deck 12 into a mini suite. I said, okay, what would be the price difference? She goes, well, we actually have a special going on right now, so we will actually owe you $67. I'm going to get a refund because they moved me from a balcony to a mini suite. I said, whoa, money back. Who doesn't love money back? She goes, well, wait, there's more. She goes, this is a different promotion. So the promotion that you're on right now, we're going to have to move you over to this new promotion. I'm like, okay, so what am I going to lose by moving over to this new promotion? She goes, well, let's see. She goes, well, you have your $200 onboard credit now. Well, with this new promotion, I'm just going to give you some more onboard credit. So now we have $400 of onboard credit. We're in a mini suite. I'm getting $67 refunded to me. Still keep all of my Princess Plus stuff and everything else we had pre-booked already with this cruise. Tiffany gets a mini suite for her birthday. And at the end, the day is saved by this wonderful lady that we spoke to. And what started off is a bad time with Princess, boy, ended with me so pleased and so happy. And I just wanted to share that story with you. Now, there is some morals to this story. There are some things that you can take from this story. Look, if you book a cruise, you make changes to your cruise, you make payments to your cruise, keep copies of everything that you do with the cruise lines. Your original bookings, you keep all that stuff. Because when they changed my cabin, I went back on the website and can find no information whatsoever about my previous cabin. If I had not kept my original copies, my original paperwork that I printed out with the stuff I picked on it, I would not have even been able to tell them what the cabin number was. Because if they knew, they weren't telling me. They just said, oh, well, what was it? And I had to look it up and give it to them. So the moral of the story is make sure you keep your documentation when you're dealing with these cruise lines, particularly if you book your cruises yourself like I do. Because you never know when you might need to call the cruise line and get something fixed and get something straightened out. And sometimes you got to just be willing to sit on the phone for hours on end till you reach that right person who's able to help you out and really just turn what was a bad situation or turning into a bad situation into such a great ending that I could not be more pleased with. Tiffany is happy with it. She's going to end up with even a better cabin for her birthday. What more could I ask for? So at the end, I honestly say, great job, Princess Cruise Lines. You have at least made this passenger very, very happy. All right, I hope you guys have enjoyed today's video. I hope you guys have enjoyed my Princess Cruise Line story. If you have, do me a favor and hit that like button. If you haven't done so yet, do me a favor and hit subscribe. It is free to do so. Helps our channel grow. Let you know anytime we put out a new video. Hope everyone out there has a really great day. And like always, we will see you out on the high seas.